He was the richest man who ever lived. His annual income, in today's money, exceeded $30 billion. He had 700 wives, 300 concubines, a fleet of ships, an army of chariots, a throne of ivory and gold that no king before or after ever replicated. He wrote 3,000 proverbs, 1,005 songs, books of poetry still read today, 2,000 years later. He built one of the greatest structures in human history, the Temple of God, in 7 years. And then he destroyed everything with one decision, made over and over, until there was nothing left. This is the story of Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, and the most spectacular fall in the history of Israel. Solomon was not supposed to be king. He was the 10th son of David, born of Bathsheba, the woman David had taken through adultery and murder. His older brother Adonijah was the legitimate heir. Tall, handsome, powerful, Adonijah had already begun acting as king before David died. He threw a coronation feast, invited the generals, invited the priests, did not invite Solomon, because Solomon was not a threat, or so he thought. Bathsheba went to the dying King David. She reminded him of his oath that Solomon would be king. The prophet Nathan confirmed it. David, old and weak, gave one final command: "Put Solomon on my mule, take him to Gihon Spring, anoint him king, now, before I die." The sound of the trumpet reached Adonijah's feast. Every guest fled. Adonijah ran to the altar, grabbed its horns, begging for his life. In one afternoon, everything changed. David's final words to Solomon were not words of blessing. They were words of warning. "Be strong. Show yourself a man. Keep the charge of the Lord your God. Walk in his ways, keep his statutes and commandments, and settle the accounts I could not settle. Deal with Joab, deal with Shimei. Do not let their gray heads go down to the grave in peace." The wisest king in history began his reign with a list of men to eliminate. His father's enemies, now his. Shortly after becoming king, Solomon went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, 1,000 burnt offerings, on one altar, in one night. That night, God appeared to Solomon in a dream. "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Think about that offer. The creator of the universe to a young king. Whatever you want, ask. What would you ask for? Solomon could have asked for anything. Long life, wealth beyond measure, the destruction of his enemies, military victory, power over all nations. He asked for none of these. "Give your servant a discerning heart, to govern your people, and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" He asked for wisdom to serve others, not for himself, for the people. God was so pleased. He gave Solomon everything he did not ask for as well. God's response: "Since you have asked for this, and not for long life or wealth or the death of your enemies, I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings." The most generous response in Scripture to the most selfless request. The lesson Solomon started with, he forgot by the end. Word of Solomon's wisdom spread immediately. 2 women came before him. Both claimed the same baby. No witnesses, no evidence. 1 baby, 2 mothers, 1 lying. Solomon's solution shocked the court. "Bring me a sword, Cut the living child in two, give half to one and half to the other. One woman said yes, one woman said no. Give the baby to her, don't kill him. Solomon gave the baby to the woman who said no. She was the real mother. A mother would rather lose her child than watch him die. The Queen of Sheba heard of Solomon's fame and came to test him. She traveled from modern-day Ethiopia, or possibly Yemen, over 2,000 kilometers, with camels loaded with spices, gold, and precious stones. She came with hard questions. Every question Solomon answered. Nothing was too hard for him. When she saw his palace, his table, his servants, his burnt offerings, she had no more spirit in her. "The half was not told me," she said. "Your wisdom and prosperity exceed the fame I heard." A queen who ruled nations was overwhelmed by one man's wisdom. Kings from every nation sent delegations to Jerusalem to hear the wisdom of Solomon. The Bible records, men of all nations came to listen, sent by all the kings of the world who had heard of his wisdom. He spoke about plant life, from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows in walls. He taught about animals, birds, reptiles, fish. He was not just wise in spiritual matters. He was the greatest naturalist, philosopher, poet, and administrator of the ancient world. One man, one reign, never repeated. David had wanted to build a temple for God. God said no. "You are a man of war. Your son will build it." Solomon began in his 4th year. The project took 7 years. The scale was staggering. 80,000 stonecutters, 70,000 carriers, 3,300 foremen, over 100,000 workers total. Every stone cut at the quarry, so no iron tool was heard at the temple site. Silence while building the house of God. The interior was breathtaking. Cedar wood from Lebanon, no stone visible inside, pure gold overlaid everywhere. The Holy of Holies, a perfect cube, 20 cubits each direction, covered entirely in gold. 600 talents of gold on the walls alone. In today's value, over $1 billion, just for the gold on the walls. 2 cherubim, 10 cubits high each, wings spanning the entire room, carved from olive wood, covered in gold, standing over the Ark of the Covenant. No building in history has ever been described with such detail or such cost. At the dedication, Solomon knelt before the entire assembly of Israel, spread his hands toward heaven, and prayed one of the most remarkable prayers in Scripture. But will God really dwell on earth? The heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built. The most powerful man in the world, on his knees, saying, "God is bigger than anything I can build." When he finished praying, fire came down from heaven, consumed the burnt offering. The glory of the Lord filled the temple. The priests could not enter, because the glory was too great. The wealth of Solomon is almost impossible to comprehend. His annual income, 666 talents of gold. In today's value, approximately $32 billion per year, every year for 40 years. This does not include trade revenues, tribute from conquered nations, gifts from visiting kings, or the income from his merchant fleet. He was, by any measure, the wealthiest individual in all of human history until that point. He made silver as common as stones in Jerusalem, cedar as plentiful as sycamore. His throne was unlike any throne ever made. 6 steps of ivory, gold overlaid. 2 lions at each step, 12 lions total. A golden footstool, armrests shaped as lions. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. He had 1,400 chariots, 12,000 horses, stabled in cities across the kingdom. He imported horses from Egypt and Kuwe, exporting them to kings throughout the Hittite and Aramean kingdoms. He was the ancient world's horse trader to kings. His fleet of ships operated from Etzion-Geber, modern Eilat, on the Red Sea. Every 3 years, the ships returned carrying gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. He had a merchant fleet on the Mediterranean, operated with Hiram of Tyre, bringing back silver, gold, ivory, apes, and peacocks. The sheer variety of goods, exotic animals, luxury materials from Africa, Arabia, and Asia suggests a trade network spanning the known world. One king, in Jerusalem, trading with 3 continents. Here is where the story turns. Solomon loved many foreign women, the daughter of Pharaoh. Women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. God had specifically said, "You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods." Solomon held fast to them in love. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, 1,000 women, in his household. He built high places for their gods. On the hill east of Jerusalem, he built shrines for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of Ammon, to whom children were sacrificed. That, the wisest man in the world, knew exactly what he was doing. He had written proverbs. He had warned others against the seductive woman. He had described wisdom as more precious than rubies. He knew, and he chose otherwise. This is the most disturbing part of Solomon's story. Not that he was ignorant, but that he was not. The man who told others, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it, did not guard his own. God appeared to Solomon a second time. The first time, at Gibeon, was grace. This time, warning. Since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. The kingdom Solomon built would be torn apart by his own son, because of his own choices. The consequences of our decisions sometimes fall on those we love most. Near the end of his life, Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes, the most unusual book in the Bible, written by the wisest man after he had tried everything. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. The Hebrew word, hevel, means vapor, breath, mist, something that appears and disappears. He was saying, I tried everything, I had everything, and it was all mist. He lists what he tried. Pleasure, I denied myself nothing. Great projects, the temple, palaces, gardens, wealth, silver, gold beyond counting, entertainment, singers, musicians, wisdom, more than any before him. His conclusion about all of it. When I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. The man who had everything said, having everything, is not enough. This, from the only man in history who actually had everything, should stop us cold. But Ecclesiastes does not end in despair. After 40 chapters of searching, Solomon reaches his conclusion. The final words of the wisest man. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. He started his reign asking for wisdom to serve others. He ended his life having learned what wisdom actually requires. Obedience, not intelligence, not wealth, not power, just obedience. Solomon reigned 40 years. He died and was buried in the city of David his father. His son Rehoboam succeeded him. Within 1 week of his coronation, Rehoboam faced a choice. The people came to him. Your father put a heavy yoke on us. Lighten the burden, and we will serve you. His father's advisors said, listen to the people, serve them, and they will serve you. His young friends said, tell them, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. Rehoboam listened to his young friends. Israel split in two. The northern 10 tribes followed Jeroboam, called themselves Israel. The 2 southern tribes, Judah and Benjamin, remained with Rehoboam, called themselves Judah. The united kingdom that David had built, that Solomon had brought to its greatest glory, was torn in two, exactly as God had warned Solomon it would be. The consequences of one man's choices split a nation for the rest of its history. The division never fully healed. Even to this day, 3 lessons from Solomon that still apply today. 1. God gives generously to those who ask for wisdom to serve others, not for themselves. 2. The greatest threat to a wise person is not ignorance. It is knowing the truth and choosing comfort instead. Solomon knew and chose otherwise. 3. The decisions we make do not only affect us, they shape the people who come after us. Solomon's compromise split a nation for generations. He was the wisest man who ever lived. He could not save himself from himself. Neither can we. That is why, in the end, the wisest man's conclusion is still the only one that matters. Fear God. Keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man.